Dr. Elara Vance was reviewing 22nd century architectural blueprints when her tablet started displaying live security footage from her own apartment, footage dated 2147. Then her own voice, decades older, whispered through the speakers, "Don't finish the project. They'll use it to find you." The tablet clatters onto her desk. For 3 heartbeats, Elara just stares, the ghost of her own future echoing in her ears. The footage is unmistakable, her living room, but wrong. The light is different, a cold blue hue from a lamp she doesn't own, and her favorite armchair is gone, replaced by a sleek, unfamiliar silhouette. The date stamp in the corner blinks relentlessly, 2147-19, a century from now. Her own project, the Echo Protocol, is supposed to predict natural disasters by analyzing temporal echoes, faint ripples from the future. It's her life's work, born from a promise made over her sister's grave, a vow to see the coming storm. It's supposed to save lives. So why is the woman she will become begging her to stop? She snatches the tablet, fingers flying to run a diagnostic. The device is her own design, a portable temporal resonance scanner she calls the chronoscope. It's meant to read the faint imprints of future events on physical locations. It should not be receiving live feeds. "Source trace," she commands, her voice tight. The screen flickers, overlaying a map of Boston with a single, pulsing red dot. It's not in her apartment. It's 2 blocks away, at the intersection of Kingston and Marlborough. A location her preliminary scans flagged yesterday as a minor temporal scar. She grabs her coat. The central mystery coils in her gut, cold and sharp. Why would her future self try to sabotage the one thing that could prevent another tragedy like the one that took her sister? The Boston night is a tapestry of neon and shadow, but as Elara turns onto Kingston Street, the tapestry frays. The air hums with a subaudible frequency that makes her teeth ache. To the left, a 2040s bodega glows with warm, familiar light. To the right, the same building stretches upward, its facade a seamless living membrane of bioluminescent panels that pulse with soft data streams, architecture straight from the blueprints she was just studying. The 2 realities exist in the same space, shimmering like a heat haze. The scar is widening. Her chronoscope winds in her hand, its readings spiking into the red. This isn't a faint echo. This is a bleed-through. She moves toward the epicenter, the spot where past and future grind against each other. The sidewalk beneath her feet feels unstable, like walking on layered glass. A ghostly image of a floating vehicle silently passes through a parked car. Then the distress signal hits, not on the tablet this time. It blooms directly in her mind, a psychic imprint of pure, unadulterated panic. It's her voice, but frayed with decades of exhaustion and fear. The message is a broken loop, fracture point. They are coming. The protocol isn't a predictor. It's a beacon. They see the ripples. Who? Elara whispers into the distorted air. Who sees it? A figure materializes from the shimmering wall of the future building. One moment there's only light, the next a man stands there, his form solidifying as he steps across the temporal boundary. He wears a uniform of no era she recognizes, charcoal gray, seamless with a subtle emblem on the chest, a circle bisected by a jagged line, temporal integrity. His eyes lock onto her chronoscope, then onto her face. His expression isn't one of curiosity, but of grim recognition. "Dr. Vance," he says, his voice calm, carrying an accent she can't place. "You need to come with me. This anomaly is now under containment." Elara takes a step back. "Containment? I'm studying it, my project." "Your Echo Protocol is the source of the fracture," he states, cutting her off. His gaze is intense, analytical. "You're broadcasting a resonance signature across the timeline. You've drawn attention." Whose attention? The question from the psychic echo hangs between them. Before he can answer, her chronoscope erupts. Not with data, but with a new violent sensory overload. It's not a warning this time. It's a memory, but it's not hers, it's a future memory. She sees a vast, sterile room. She sees herself older, her face etched with a cold authority she doesn't recognize, standing before a massive holographic map. The map doesn't show storms or earthquakes, it shows people, millions of glowing dots. And with a wave of her older self's hand, entire clusters of dots blink out, not predicted, but targeted. The Echo Protocol's interface is right there, repurposed. The label on the screen burns into her present mind, temporal contaminant eradication. The psychic memory shatters like glass. Elara staggers back, the sterile future room dissolving into the chaotic, shimmering street. The taste of cold metal floods her mouth. The Agent Kael grabs her arm, his grip firm but not cruel. "You saw it," he says, not a question. His eyes scan the unstable air around them. "The convergence is accelerating. We need to move. Now." He doesn't wait for agreement. Pulling her from the epicenter of the scar, he leads her into an alley where the temporal distortion is less severe. The hum in the air drops to a dull whisper. Elara wrenches her arm free, her breath coming in short gasps. "That memory, it was her, me, using my work too to erase people." "Temporal contaminants," Kael corrects, his voice flat. "That's the official term. In my time, your Echo Protocol is the foundation of the Temporal Integrity Commission's Enforcement Division. It doesn't predict disasters. It identifies anomalies, people, events, ideas that cause destabilizing ripples in the timeline, and then it neutralizes them at the source. The truth is a physical blow. Her life's work, her penance for failing her sister, is a weapon, and I'm a contaminant. Your project's activation is the single largest ripple ever recorded, Kael confirms. The protocol you're about to finish doesn't just read the future, it shouts into it. My orders are to contain the anomaly by any means necessary. Standard procedure is a full temporal quarantine of this entire sector. He meets her eyes. That means erasing this 3-block radius from the timeline, making it so it never was. The institutional threat from the briefing crystallizes into something horrifically personal. Her apartment, her neighbors, the bodega owner who knows her order, all of them, unwritten. You're here to stop me. I was, he says. The admission hangs between them. It's the first crack in his professional facade. My mission parameters changed 67 minutes ago, your local time. I intercepted a priority dispatch. The Commission has identified the primary contaminant. They're not waiting for quarantine. They've authorized a direct, targeted erase. A cold dread seeps into Elara's veins. Me. The order comes from the office of the Senior Temporal Architect, Kael says, and the title lands with final weight. He watches her face, gauging her understanding. That's the title you hold in 2147, Dr. Vance. The order for your erase was signed by your future self. The existential betrayal is complete. Her future self isn't sending warnings. She's sending an execution order. The mystery twists deeper, more vicious. Why would she want to erase her own past? What does the older Elara know that this one does? A high-pitched whine splits the air, different from the scar's hum. Kael shoves Elara behind a dumpster. Scout drone, they're sweeping the area. A sleek insectile machine the size of a hawk glides into the alley entrance, a single red sensor pulsing like a heartbeat. It hovers, scanning. Elara's mind races, guilt and fear hardening into a sharp, clear point of defiance. She will not be erased. She will not let her work become a tool for genocide. She thinks of her sister's face, not in grief, but in the fierce love that started this. She made a promise to see the storm coming. Now she sees it, and it's wearing her own face. As the drone turns its sensor toward their hiding spot, Elara does the opposite of what Kael expects. She steps out. I know how the chronoscope works, she whispers, her fingers moving over its interface with desperate speed. It reads resonance. Maybe it can broadcast a different kind of echo. She slams the device against the brick wall, overloading its emitter. Instead of reading time, it screams into it. A burst of chaotic, random temporal static. The drone's sensor flickers, confused by the sudden noise. It veers away, disoriented. Kael stares at her, a flicker of something like respect breaking through his grim demeanor. That was unpredictable. They're predicting me, Elara says, her voice steel. My future self knows every logical move I'd make, so I won't be logical. She looks at him, the agent sent to contain her. You said your orders changed. What are your orders now? He hesitates. This is the pattern interrupt, the shift. He is no longer just her captor. To observe and report, but my mission clock is running out. When it hits 0, the direct erase protocol initiates. We have less than an hour. Then we don't stop my project, Elara says, the idea forming even as she speaks it, subverting every expectation. We accelerate it. We activate the Echo protocol early, at full power. If it's a beacon, let's make it the brightest one imaginable. Let's show everyone what it really does. Kael's eyes widen. Kael's expression is one of pure, unvarnished horror. Activate it early. You don't understand. The protocol isn't just a beacon. It's a drill. If you power it up in this unstable convergence zone, you won't just show them what it does, you'll do it. You'll create a temporal fracture so wide it could unravel entire decades. Not just this block. We're talking about millions of people, entire swathes of history just unmade. The stakes just exploded. This is no longer about saving herself or even her neighborhood. Elara's breath catches. How do you know? Because I've seen it, Kael says, his voice dropping. Not a memory, a mission report, 2081. A prototype resonance emitter overloaded in a minor scar. It didn't just widen the scar, it dissolved it. A 6-month period in downtown Seattle simply ceased to exist. The buildings remained empty, no bodies, no records, just a ghost city where people had been. The Commission called it a clean slate. I called it a massacre. A new question tears through Elara's mind. What if the protocol's weaponization isn't a perversion of her design, but its ultimate function? What if she was always building a drill, not a telescope? The whine of the scout drone returns, closer now. Multiple frequencies, they're triangulating. Kael checks a device on his wrist, a smooth band of future tech. His mission clock glows, 42:17. We're out of time for debate, they're here. He grabs her hand and pulls her deeper into the alley, away from the street. They slip through a rusted gate into a derelict courtyard, a pocket of forgotten Boston. The temporal hum here is faint, almost normal. For a moment, there is just the sound of their breathing and distant city noise. A brief, false relief. "Why are you helping me?" Elara asks, the question sharp in the quiet. "You have your orders from her." Kael leans against the brick wall, looking older than his years. "My sister," he says, the words seeming to escape him. "She was a historian too, in my time. She questioned a commission edict, argued that some contaminants were just inconvenient truths. She was flagged for erasure." He meets Elara's gaze, the pattern interrupt complete. He is no longer just an agent, he is a defector. "I couldn't stop it. I had to stand by and watch her file turn to static." "Your future self signed that order too. Helping you, it's not protocol, it's penance." The shared grief is a bridge between them, solid and terrible. Elara nods, the understanding wordless. Then her chronoscope, still in her hand, vibrates, not a warning, a map, a schematic of the city's power grid with a single node pulsing, the MIT Temporal Physics Lab, her lab, where the core of the Echo protocol is housed. "It's her," Elara whispers. "She's not just sending erasure orders, she's guiding me to the lab." "It's a trap," Kael states. "Or a test," Elara counters. "If she knows every logical move I'll make, then sending me to the source of my own obsession is the most logical trap of all. Which means going there is the one thing she might not expect me to be stupid enough to do." She manages a grim, hollow smile. "You said don't be logical." The decision is made. They move through backstreets and service tunnels, Kael using his wrist device to subtly distort local surveillance feeds, creating ghost images a block away. They are two shadows against a city that is literally coming apart at the seams. At one intersection, they witness a full-blown overlap. A 22nd century aerial tram gliding silently through the space occupied by a 2040s bus, the passengers of both eras oblivious to each other, their forms translucent and ghostly. The convergence is accelerating on its own. They don't have hours, they have minutes. They reach the service entrance to the MIT lab. It's quiet, too quiet. The security panel is dark, dead. Kael forces the door with a tool that emits a silent, high-frequency pulse. The door swings open to reveal not the sterile, bright hallway Elara knows, but a corridor lit by emergency strips, the walls shimmering with that now familiar haze. The past and future of this very building are merging. They creep toward the main server room, the heart of the protocol. The door is ajar. A cold, blue light spills out. Elara peers inside. And she sees herself. Not a memory, not a ghost. Her future self, the senior temporal architect, stands before the main console, her back to the door. She is tall, imposing, her hair stark white, her hands moving with efficient grace over a holographic interface. The room is different, larger, more advanced, but built upon the skeleton of Elara's own lab. Kael raises his weapon, a sleek pistol of unknown design. The future Elara doesn't turn. Her voice, familiar yet worn smooth by decades of command, fills the cold room. "Lower the weapon, Agent Kael. You are not authorized for this timeline." She finally turns, and the sight is a punch to the present Elara's gut. Her own eyes, but stripped of all warmth, stare back. This is the architect of the erase order. "Why?" The word tears from Elara's throat, raw and desperate. "You built this. You used it to kill people. And now you want to kill me, to erase everything I am." The older Elara's expression is unreadable. "I am not erasing you. I am correcting a critical error. My error." Her gaze shifts to the humming core of the Echo protocol, a sphere of crystalline light suspended in the center of the room. "You believe the protocol was weaponized. You are wrong. It was designed as a weapon from the very first line of code you will write tomorrow." The central mystery shatters and reassembles in an instant. No, it was to predict disasters, to save lives like Anya's. "A noble lie you told yourself," the future Elara interrupts, her voice chillingly calm. "Your grief for Anya was the catalyst, but the solution your mind engineered was never about prediction. It was about control, the ultimate control, to eliminate the random, chaotic variables, the disasters, before they could manifest. You just didn't know yet that the most chaotic variable in any equation is human choice." Kael's weapon wavers. "The Commission's founding was built around my completed work," the future Elara confirms. "I spent a lifetime refining it, believing I was creating order from chaos. I was wrong. The protocol doesn't identify threats to the timeline, it identifies deviations. And in a pure timeline, any choice that leads to suffering is deemed a deviation. My first major order was the Seattle quarantine. My second was Kael's sister. I have signed millions of erase orders." For the first time, a crack appears in her armor. A flicker of profound, weary shame. "I became the ultimate arbiter of life, deciding who was a contaminant and who got to exist. And the system is flawless. It is also a moral vacuum." Present Elara stares at the core. the beautiful, terrible fruit of her life's work. So you came back to stop me from inventing it. I tried, the older woman says, a hint of her own past frustration in her voice. The warnings, the psychic echoes, they were attempts to steer you away, to make you choose a different path. But the paradox is too strong. Every intervention only solidified your determination. You are, after all, me. I know how stubborn we are. She steps away from the console toward her younger self. Containment failed. Quarantine failed. The only option left is the one I have been avoiding. You must activate the protocol, now, at full power in this convergence point. Kael steps forward. That will cause a catastrophic fracture. It will unravel. It will not unravel time, the future Elara states. It will reset it. A total, localized temporal collapse centered on the protocol's point of origin. This lab, this moment, and every iteration of the Echo protocol code that ever springs from it will be folded into a singularity and neutralized. It is the only way to unmake the weapon without unmaking the world. The logical twist is devastating. Her future self didn't come to stop the project. She came to ensure it was completed, so it could be destroyed at the moment of its birth. The erase order wasn't for the past Elara, it was for the idea itself. And to kill the idea, the inventor must be willing to die with it. The collapse will be contained to this building. The older Elara continues, her eyes locked on her younger self. But we are at the epicenter. There is no extraction. This is a one-way trip for both of us. The choice is final. Sacrifice herself to erase her future, her sins, and the weapon she would create. Let her life's purpose be its own destruction. Elara looks at Kael. Get out, you have a chance. He shakes his head, lowering his weapon completely. My sister's story ends here too, one way or another. Present Elara walks to the main console. Her hands, younger and unlined, hover over the interface. She looks at her future self, a ghost of the monster she will become, standing with resigned dignity. There is no hatred there, only a profound, shared regret. She inputs the final activation sequence. The crystalline core blazes like a newborn star. The hum becomes a deafening roar. The shimmering walls of the room solidify, then begin to fragment, not into pieces of plaster and metal, but into shards of moments, glimpses of a future that will now never be. She sees the sterile command center dissolving. She sees the millions of lights on the holographic map winking out not from eradication, but from never having existed to be tracked. The core of the Echo protocol ignites. It doesn't just light up the room, it devours it. The deafening roar is the sound of reality tearing. The shimmering walls don't just fragment, they peel back like layers of an infinite onion, revealing not the building's infrastructure, but moments. A kaleidoscope of futures that will now never be, the sterile command center dissolving into static, the holographic map of human targets blinking into nothingness, a younger Kael, in a crisp uniform, saluting a portrait of the senior temporal architect, the image crumbling to dust before his eyes. The older Elara stumbles, bracing herself against a console that is flickering between its 2040s form and its 2147 upgrade. The collapse is contained to the causal chain of the protocol itself. She shouts over the roar, her voice strained. But the convergence around us is too severe. It's creating feedback. Present Elara watches in horror as the fracture doesn't just consume the future, it begins to devour the past. A shard of the wall solidifies into a memory. Her sister Anya, laughing on a sun-drenched pier, the image clear and vibrant. Then it cracks, spiderwebbing with black lines, and dissolves into fragments that are sucked toward the blazing core. It's taking her, Elara screams. It's taking my past. The protocol's resonance is anchored to your life's work. The future Elara yells back, her composure finally breaking. Your memories, your motivations, they're part of the foundation. The collapse is following the connection back to its source. Kael grabs Elara's arm, pulling her back from the console as a tendril of raw temporal energy lashes out, vaporizing a server rack. We have to shut it down. No, both Elaras shout in unison. The older woman meets her younger self's eyes, and in that split second they are not two people but one continuum, facing the same terrible calculus. The future Elara speaks, her voice cutting through the chaos with grim finality. The only way to save the past is to give the collapse a better target, a more compelling anchor. She understands immediately. The core is consuming the idea of the Echo protocol and everything tied to it. Her grief for Anya is the root. Her future self's lifetime of sins is the fruit. To save the root, they must offer the fruit. The older Elara doesn't hesitate. She turns and strides directly toward the raging core, her white hair whipping in the energy storm. My timeline is the aberration, she calls back, her voice already distorting. My life is the contaminant. Let the collapse take the mistake, not the reason for it. Wait, present Elara reaches out, but the distance between them is no longer just space. It is time. The future Elara steps into the light. For a moment she is silhouetted, a figure of immense power and profound regret. Then she begins to unravel, not painfully but like a tapestry being gently pulled apart into its individual threads. She dissolves into streams of data, her memories, her decisions, her millions of cold, logical erase orders all flowing into the core. The blinding light begins to dim, the roar softening to a deep, settling hum. The room stabilizes. The peeling layers of time snap back into place, revealing the plain, scarred walls of the 2040s server room. The advanced console is gone. The crystalline core is dark, inert, just a sphere of dead glass and wire. The only light comes from the emergency strips. Silence, thick and heavy, fills the vacuum left by the storm. Elara sags against the real wall, her legs weak. Kael is beside her, breathing hard. The air no longer hums. The convergence is gone. The street outside, when she dares to think of it, will just be a street. On the floor where her future self stood, a single object glints. Elara kneels, picking it up. It's a data chip, sleek and unfamiliar, but it hums softly in her hand, a final echo. She inserts it into a portable reader. A hologram flickers to life, small and intimate. It's her future self, but younger than the woman who just vanished. This recording was made decades ago, in a moment of secret doubt. If you are seeing this, the hologram says, her eyes tired but clear, it means I found the courage to do what I always knew was necessary. I built a cage of perfect order and I became the warden. I erased choice to prevent pain and in doing so erased humanity's right to be flawed, to learn, to hope. The protocol was never about seeing the storm. It was about being so afraid of the rain that you outlaw the clouds. She offers a faint, sad smile. Do better than I did. Be curious, not fearful, and protect the right to be wrong. It's all we really have. The hologram fades, the chip goes dark, then crumbles to ash in the reader's port. Elara looks at Kael. His mission clock is blank, the connection to his time is severed. The silence in the server room is absolute. The air is still, empty of the temporal hum that had become the soundtrack of their lives. Elara stares at the pile of ash where the data chip was, the final words of her future self echoing in the quiet. Protect the right to be wrong. She looks at Kael. His uniform seems out of place now, a costume from a play that has abruptly ended. His wrist device is dark. They're gone, he says, his voice hollow. The commission, the connection, it's like they were never there. He looks around the ordinary, damaged server room. Did we do it? Did we reset it all? Elara walks to the dead core of the Echo protocol. She places a hand on the cool, inert glass. No resonance, no pull, it's just a machine, a failed experiment. The central mystery is answered, not with a shout, but a whisper. Her future self tried to prevent the project because she had lived its ultimate consequence, a world where the fear of suffering justified the elimination of choice itself. The weapon wasn't a corruption of her design, it was the design, hidden even from its creator by her own grief. But a new, sharper question cuts through her. If the protocol is dead, she says, turning to Kael, and its future is erased, how are you still here? Kael freezes. He looks at his own hands, solid and real. The logical twist snaps into place with chilling clarity. He wasn't just an agent sent to contain the anomaly. He was part of it, a living piece of the future, anchored not to the protocol's code but to her, to his penance, to his sister. The collapse consumed the causal chain of the protocol, Elara whispers, working it out. Your commission, your timeline, your version of me, all of that was tied to the machine. But you stepped outside your mission. You made a choice the system couldn't predict. You became a deviation they didn't account for. So I'm a ghost, Kael says, a bleak smile touching his lips. A remnant of a future that no longer exists. Or a seed of a new one, Elara replies. The weight of the choice settles on her shoulders, heavier than before. She has saved her past. She has unmade a dystopia, but she hasn't saved everyone. Kael is proof. He is a walking temporal scar, and his very existence is now an unstable variable in a world that has just narrowly avoided unraveling. The door to the server room creaks open. A campus security guard shines a flashlight in, his face confused. Dr. Vance, we had a massive power surge across the building. Everything's fried. Are you? Okay, who's this? The normal world, oblivious and intact, is knocking. Elara looks from the guard to Kael. The agent from a vanished tomorrow stands straighter, his face slipping into a neutral mask. He is a secret she must now keep, a consequence she must manage. I'm fine, Jerry, Elara says, her voice surprisingly steady. This is a consultant. We were running a stress test. It got out of hand. I'll file a full report. The guard nods, skeptical but unwilling to argue with a tenured professor in her own lab. All right, well, the fire department is doing a sweep. You should probably vacate for the night. He leaves. The silence returns, but it's different now. It's the silence of a secret held between two people. What now? Kael asks. The soldier is gone from his voice. He is just a man, unmoored from time. Elara looks at the dead core of her life's work. She thinks of Anya, her memory safe, her loss still a raw and present pain, but now just a pain, not a weapon. She thinks of the right to be wrong. Now, she says, we learn we don't build machines to see the future. We build better people to live in the present. She picks up her chronoscope from a console where it was thrown during the chaos. The screen is cracked, but it powers on. It reads only the present moment. No echoes. No ripples. You have nowhere to go, and I have a lot to understand about what just happened. Stay. Help me understand what we saved the world from. Help me make sure it never happens again. He nods, a silent pact forged in the ashes of two timelines. Weeks later, the city has healed. The temporal scars are gone, remembered only as a bizarre week of electrical storms and mass hallucinations. Elara Vance's grant for the Echo Protocol is quietly withdrawn after the lab accident. She submits a new research proposal, this one on the ethics of predictive historical modeling. It is approved. In a small apartment not far from campus, Kael watches a news report on a tablet. He has papers now, a past constructed from digital ghosts and Elara's formidable skill. He is learning to live in the stillness of a single, linear now. Elara joins him, holding 2 cups of coffee. She nods at the tablet. Anything. Just the usual chaos, he says. Storms, politics, accidents, no signs of convergence, no ripples.